guys, welcome to chapter 3 on the Bethlehem 10-inch series. Lovely. We'll get to who this is in a second, but Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Fiery player, he's close to the Minneapolis Lakers throwback. But yeah, I love Mr. Bryant, one of the great scorers in basketball history, one of the great improvisers. Absolutely. So here we are in the Bethlehem series, the 10-inch series, which I recently completed. When I made my Bethlehem video back in February of 19, I said, I bet you within a year I'll probably have that 10-inch series completed. And I did. It took a couple trips to Japan, of course. Trips by my wallet, not by me. But this is Herbie Harper, number 1025. Please no more Shaggy Dog stories. I'd much rather listen to Herbie Harper. He's a fiery little trombone player. Paul Saramento's on the tuba, which is going to be an interesting aspect for this record. This is an LA recording. Charlie Mariano shows up on it. Jimmy Joffrey shows up on it. Jimmy Rawls and Harry Bobison. So again, it's a great West Coast feeling, swinging, moving 10-inch. What we're playing now, and a record I love, also recorded on the West Coast, Blues Blue by fantastic Bob Hardaway. Another guy that was a multi-instrumentalist. Look how beautiful that cover is. You have the Navy guy hanging out in Times Square. Desolation Row, as Dylan said. He's looking for that happy highway, the happy highway home. One of my favorite album covers in any genre. It's just beautiful and it just kind of sucks you into it. This has Bob Hardaway on tenor, Marty Page on piano, Larry Bunker on vibes, Art Mardigan on the drums, Max Bennett and Joe Mondrigan on the bass. Love this record, love that cover, and that's Bethlehem 1026. As we move along, 1027 is the great Helen Carr. This 10-inch plus the one where she's on the beach in the BCP series. I love both those records. A great singer. Bethlehem by 56, 57 starts really moving back towards the singers with the Mel Tormes, and there's just a whole litany of singers that they have on the label at that point. Peggy Connolly, just a lot of them. But this one, 1027, Don Fadriquist, Charlie Mariano, Dick Trenner, Max Bennett, Stan Levy, and of course Helen Carr. It's beautiful stuff. This is actually a reissue. I'd like to find an original on that, but original of that kind of stuff aren't affordable. One of my favorite Bethlehem sessions is this Max Bennett record. He has a couple more as a leader when they move over to the 12-inch series, the BCP series. So remember, some of this stuff is coming out concurrently with the early BCP records at this point, 12 inches. It says, hence, home you idle creatures, get you home and lend an ear to Max Bennett. And the zebras and the photography is just kind of ahead of its time. It's beautiful. It's a great little record. Again, with Max Bennett, Mariano Levy, Claude Williamson, Frank Rosalino, and then Helen Carr actually picks up a couple tracks on this record as well. It's modern. It's so firmly in that modern tradition. There's even some edges there. You know, even a little bit of Monk in some of those angles. These cats from this West Coast crew are some of the baddest cats in jazz in the mid-50s. And I would argue there's this little stretch of records here that's as solid and anywhere in the jazz canon for consecutive releases by a label in a time frame. Here's compositions of Bobby Scott too. Again, great piano player. This was an LA recording. Conti Condoli, Frank Rosalino, Charlie Mariano, Bill Holman, Jimmy Joffrey, Max, and Stan Levy. So you got quite an arrangement there of those same West Coast cats. The songs of Bobby Troop. Bobby Troop ended up becoming an actor, acted and married to Julie London. They played on the show Emergency together. But Bobby Troop is a fine piano player, if I recall. Howard Roberts and Red Mitchell. Again, beautiful cover. Just a sandy beach, kind of stark, kind of beautiful. The Australian Jazz Quartet, who ends up becoming a quintet eventually when they had a bass player. They have a number of releases on Bethlehem. A lot of them in the 6000 series, which comes a little bit later. But they're actually a really good little group, and they played with everybody. They were opening on bills for a lot of the greats. The records don't go for much, and they're a surprisingly strong listen. I enjoy a lot of their stuff. Holiday and Braff, again, another Ruby Braff record. And Dick Healy's on this, Errol Buttle, Bryce Rhodey, and Jack Brokensha, I think was the name. Again, he's considered one of the fiery Ivy League Armstrong kind of players. Could really play. And that's, again, a New York recording now. Back on the West Coast now. We have number 1033, Red Mitchell, the great bass player. He has a couple other sessions as a leader, one with Argo, I believe, and I think one or two with Contemporary. So another great West Coast guy. Happy Miners, and the duality of that is kind of the picture of the happy little kids, but they're taking minor chords and giving them a pep and a joy that a lot of minor chords don't often present themselves with. So that's a really cool record. And again, the band on here is Conti Condoli, Zoot Sims, Claude Williamson, Stan Levy. It's not to be dismissed. This is solid stuff. This is real jazz. A lot of it's being done by white guys. Ruby Braff again, Bethlehem at the Ball, 1034. Another one I decided to get out from Japan. Excuse me. Dick Wetmore now. Excuse me. In the tradition of a Stefan Grappelli, .1035, it's violin jazz, and it swings. It really does. It's great stuff. The name Dick Wetmore is a little unfortunate. You probably got beat up in school for that once or twice, but that's okay. Not the toughest record to come by, using the $20 to $30 range. Kind of an anonymous band here. I looked at the band members. No one can really know, but it's a fun record, and it feels kind of like that Sen walking down, Ile-de-France. Hey guys, I had a little technical problem there. I had to stop for a sec. But so wrapping up this Bethlehem series. Where did I put it? Right there. We have this wonderful Paula Castle record. Sam Most, the flute player, Ronnie Selby, and Howard Wasserman fill up the band on this. Look at that gorgeous album cover. Chet Amsterdam's on the bass, Ronnie Selby's on the piano. So they're not real name brands on the back of this backing group. But she has a beautiful voice. And that album cover is just worth the price of admission alone. I can play this at my jazz lunch brunch at the Red Cow in Minneapolis, and people will just soak up that atmosphere. When something is good and has a vibe and an atmosphere to it, you can play it and people will not mind it. You're not forcing them into a headspace that they don't want to be in. This is always a headspace that the majority of the human race can sip a cup of coffee to and eat a drunk hash brown with. So Bethlehem 10-inch series, it's a wonderful little series of records. For some reason, Bethlehem skips 1037 and 1038. And that's never a good sign when a label starts skipping sequence numbers. That's a production problem. That's budget's not meeting up. Joe DeRise, a great Italian singer. This is really a tough picture to see. It's him sitting at the piano. And it's going to be tough for you to really kind of get a good clip of this one. It's a really dark image. You can see him sitting there. And he sings and plays with Ozzie Johnson and Milt Hinton, just the three of them. He sits on the piano, comping and singing. Beautiful record, beautiful Italian-American. He has another 12-inch record on the BCP series I highly recommend. You can't go wrong with Joe DeRise. And then the last record in this series I really love is 1040, Wigville, the Russ Garcia Orchestra. And again, you're talking LA production. Russ Garcia, Charlie Mariano, Bill Holman, Jimmy Joffrey, Pete Condoli, Conti Condoli, Max Bennett, and Stan Levy. So once again, you have some of the best West Coast cats. They might be white, but they can swing. They play hard, they play fast, they play furious, and they might be emoting from a slightly different place, but again, to answer my premise, that white cats can absolutely play jazz. You can be just as great an improviser, just as great an innovator, just as great a virtuoso. Skin color doesn't determine any of that. Your environment, your surrounding, your upbringing, your personality, they will shape how you play, they will shape what you say, and they will shape how history replays you. And it's common sense that a white guy is going to be coming from a different experience than a black guy, especially in America before civil rights. So again, that's an issue I've talked about endlessly. Again, there's the entire Bethlehem 10-inch series, minus that one Milt Hinton, which I have the 7-inch and the 12-inch of. It's a great little series of 10-inch albums, really solid in terms of its production, its presentation, and then Bethlehem just continues the 10-inch series, and they're already kind of knee-deep into the BCP series, and they're about to launch the 6000 series as well. And the industry moves fast and furious. You're present and hip and this modern thing today, and tomorrow you're the legacy of somebody else's underwear. Like, you're done. So cherish the Bethlehem legacy. What they did on the East Coast and the West Coast are two very different beings. That you have to relish kind of both sides of that coin, that they were doing both. It's dominated by white artists, but they're white artists that can really play. And that's one of the beauties of it. So enjoy Bethlehem. It's a label I really love dearly. Find a lot of beautiful music and beautiful feelings in what they're doing. I'm the Jazz Shepherd. Thank you for checking in. Subscribe to my channel if you dig jazz, history, and social issues. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.